Rice Fang Group supports the legacies of HBCUs.
Hello, this is Lacey L. Rice Jr. of Rice Fang Group, welcoming you to Chat with HBCU Champions Season 4, featuring head coach Larry Rather from Fort Valley State University, whose men's volleyball team won the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic, or SIAC, championship this year. So this is Coach's second year in a row here. So they were defending champions. Congratulations, Coach, and welcome to the show again.
Thank you, sir. And like last time, I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, it's great seeing you again. And yeah, like that USA volleyball shirt.
Well, I'm actually out here right now in Anaheim. I'm not even in Fort Valley. I'm in Anaheim working with our Olympic team, our senior national team, and I'll be taking a group to the Pan American Cup in Leon, Mexico. So I'll be taking a senior Olympic team at the end of this month to compete for the Pan American Cup.
Okay. So are you the head coach or are you assistant coach?
I'm one of the assistants.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm one of our assistant coaches this year.
Okay. Well, congratulations for being named a coach on that team. I mean, that head coach or assistant coach is still speaks volumes.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here. As a coach or a player, you get to represent your country at the highest level, and it's definitely an honor and a pleasure to be able to do that, and to be probably the first HBCU representative in the gym for any sport.
Wow. So tell us a bit about yourself, about your background, and how you came to becoming a volleyball coach over at Fort Valley.
Yeah, kind of how we talked about last year when we got this opportunity. I grew up in the sport. My father played in the Army, and from then on, I was in the gym with this sport or football or just something sports related. My dad is still my assistant coach, but he goes as Pop or Coach because he's a coach of everything. So I've always gotten to see him be more of a mentor and coach basketball. He's coached football. He's coached volleyball. He's a mentor. So he can coach it all, do it all. So I got to watch that growing up as a young adult, teenager and child. And, you see that and it's naturally going to stick in with you into your perception of what it means to be a man in a sense. And so I love the sport. The sport has brought me a ton of opportunities and it brought me to meet a lot of people I didn't think I would meet. I've been a player in the USA Pipeline. I'm now a coach in the USA Pipeline. I've gotten to meet some wonderful people. I've got to see some beautiful destinations, and it's taken me out of the environment I started in, which is the main goal we always want, right? Was I in a terrible area? Not necessarily growing up, but it was definitely a working, heavy middle class area. So working to put myself and my family in a better spot and, use the sport that I love and has given me so much to help others experience the same thing. Like as of right now, I have one of my players who's a senior this year is actually out here with me in Anaheim, not as a player, but as a technical coordinator. So he'll be running all of our video, all of our stats, coding everything for us. He's a mathematics major. So we needed somebody and he was already kind of working in it. And, I put his name out there and he has to do the work to make it work. Right. But my job is to give these guys opportunities, and he's getting a wonderful opportunity for his career to work with the national team at 19, 21 years old, right? And put this on his resume. And as he builds that, it's going to be something that he's going to cherish forever, and just as I said, this sport has taken me many places. It's about to take him to Leon, Mexico, right? And he didn't even know this was going to happen. This all came about at the end of July, he found out. And I've been here since August 3rd. So he found out just as I was getting here that, hey, come on, you're coming here right now. And he had to scramble to get things figured out with his classes and everything. But if he was not a part of our team and in this sport, I don't think he'd be ever had this opportunity to be with an Olympic team and see what that experience is like and be around those kind of caliber of athletes and coaches and people and just, it's the environment you're around that he's going to love and be able to cherish forever. So background-wise, volleyball, you cut me, you see volleyball come out, right? You're not going to see blood. You're going to see volleyball. You're going to see mentorship. That's really what I'm about and why I do what I do.
Wow, that's tremendous, especially, being able to bring one of your own to help out with the team. And because that particular team, is it primarily collegiates or is it professionals? Or
no, so it's majority professional guys. I believe we only have maybe like 2 or 3 guys who are still in college. But the way to look at it is the group that we're taking to the Pan American Cup is the team that you would see at our Olympics in 3 years, the B group. So the guys who are trying to prove themselves, are trying to make a name for themselves, that's the group we're taking right now. So these guys could be in 3 years playing in the Olympics.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've known quite a few Olympic coaches in other sports, and I guess primarily their sports were kind of more cut and dry as to how you get on a team. Track and field is very easy. You got to run and you got to do the rounds, and in the finals you got to be top 3, top 4 in order to go. If you have to be top 3, and I think if you don't make it in an individual event, you still have a chance to make it in the relays. And so, but in volleyball, how does that work? How do you guys whittle down to a specific team?
Yes, I mean, Karch Karai, our head men's national team coach, does a great job with his staff, kind of keeping an eye on all the guys and who's out there in the volleyball world and who are guys that we need to get an eye on. And then you have guys that throughout this summer have been out here in Anaheim training in the Olympic training facility, either working to get into the VNL and play or get to a U23 event or get into any events this summer, trying to just crack a lineup and just train. So it's a lot of them doing the research and talking to college coaches about guys and where they're at and what they're capable of, and just watching the video and keeping a steady update on the pulse of men's volleyball.
Okay.
And then they call them in and you get an invite, and it's like, hey, I'm shipping out tomorrow. I'll see you and get going.
Okay. So you don't necessarily have guys having to play against each other in order to make the cut or anything like that.
I mean, right now we have 18 guys competing for 14 spots. So we have 18 listed, but we can only take 14 with us, and then we'll have alternates. But you got 4 guys who aren't going to go that have been training here for 3 weeks.
Okay. And the wild thing about all of this, especially today, I was just posting some things about Wilt Chamberlain. I think I posted about 2 or 3 things today on my Facebook about Wilt Chamberlain. And the weird thing about the stilt was that, I mean, right now the arguments are Michael Jordan and LeBron James, which I still say Wilt was, the GOAT. Nobody has done a lot of the things that he did. Nobody will ever do a lot of the things that he did. And so to me, he's the GOAT in basketball, but he's also been acknowledged as being the GOAT in men's volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wilt used to play. Yeah. Yeah, he used to play.
Yeah, and I
Just
think
imagine once that happens, you get those guys who play basketball. You're the 10th man, but you're 7 feet tall.
right,
Hey, we got an opportunity over here.
right. And, well, and the other weird thing about all of that, I believe at one point, and I was just reading this a few weeks ago, where he was the head man in charge of the of men's volleyball. He was like the executive director, or whatever the top spot is as an executive. He was that, and one of my good friends down in Georgia, everybody likes to throw Caitlin Clark's name out there as being all-time leading scorer in NCAA. She's not. She's not. She did not get 4,000 points. Only one person in NCAA history did that. His name is Travis Grant. He graduated from Kentucky State University. And ironically, Wilt was Travis's head basketball coach in the ABA. They were actually teammates Wilt's last year playing in the NBA for the Lakers. Travis was a first-round draft pick for the Lakers. When Wilt left, he took Travis with him to San Diego in the ABA, and that's where Travis became. He was the Conquistadors' first star, but he told me that he considers Wilt to be the best coach he's ever had.
No. Hey, can't argue. It makes sense.
Yeah, so it's just great that he was able to make both sports work out for him, and that, like I said, he has that tie between men's basketball and men's volleyball. And I don't think we'll ever see another. The only other person I know who's in a GOAT conversation for two sports was Jim Brown for football and lacrosse, men's lacrosse.
You wouldn't put not Dion, but who was the other one?
You talking about
Rice. Did Jerry Rice do baseball and football?
No, Bo Jackson did.
Bo did. There it is. Yeah, Bo. You wouldn't put Bo in that consideration?
Only reason I can't is because he got hurt before his football career actually matured. He did some great things, and he was actually a part-time player in both sports.
But he only got hurt because he was too strong. His body was too strong for what he could do, and that's the only reason he got hurt.
Yeah, because that was the freakiest injury ever. It's like, whoa.
The simplest type of tackle, and just because he had too much force going forward, his leg couldn't handle it.
Right. But he, and they did have those commercials back in the day, though, about the Bo Knows commercials. Yeah. And Bo was also a standout in track and field when he was in college. They said he still has the fastest 40 time in NFL history, 4.1 something. So that's saying a lot, because you mentioned Dion. Yeah. And Dion is up there, running. He ran unbelievable time. So yeah, they were both standouts in two sports, well, in two or more. If you include what they did in college and track and field. And so, and it would have been interesting to see what Christian Coleman could have done if he had actually devoted any of his time to football, because he was a standout football player in college. So, there's been some greats. Willie Gault is probably the greatest. Well, Bob Hayes. I forgot. Bob Hayes was the fastest man alive, and when he played football with the Dallas Cowboys, he was the most dangerous man in football.
Didn't know that one.
Yeah. Ask your dad about him. He'll know.
Oh, I will. I'm sure he's going to tell me all about it too. Without a doubt on that one.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about your team this year. You defended your SIAC championship, which that says a lot in and of itself. Because I think last year when we talked, you were talking about some of the parity that has started developing in the conference between the volleyball programs.
Yeah. I think being able to repeat is always something great to do because it shows the proof in the pudding of what you were doing is successful and you can do it again. And I think, again, after this year, our culture getting so much more solidified that the gap is growing. We're going to get better quality guys coming in. We're going to start training more. We're going to clean up things where we're behind. You're always going to get better is the plan because you're always going to look at where you could have been better and try to change it. And then even in the places where you're good at, could we have been cleaner? Could we have made mild changes that made some things a little bit different? But, like always going into a year, you never know. Paper looks great. Paper's one thing, but once you get going, it could be a whole nother thing. But I think our guys, having had graduated 10 guys says a lot.
Yeah.
Right. It just goes to show the history and the culture of what we've been building in the first 2 years, where a lot of slaps in the face and a lot of lessons, not losses, allowed us to be able to succeed back to back. Because now we know what it's like on both sides of the coin. We've experienced the bitter taste of constant defeat and being close. And then we've experienced, year 3 where we win and we only drop 1 set all year. And then last year we only dropped 2 sets, I want to say, all year. That goes to show what we're doing is kind of handling business, and we're starting to create some more distance between ourselves. But, all that can change in a matter of overnight. So you can't always bank on it. So even going into this year, right? I just said it, we graduated 10 guys. We had 8 returning. We're bringing in 12 new guys, 2 transfers, 10 actual true freshmen. We're going to be very young. And these guys have to learn how to win on their own page, right? I don't want them to be treated as if the little brother syndrome. Well, your older brother was doing this and he did this and, just browbeating them in that aspect. They have to figure out what winning means to them. They know what our standard is and they know what they must bring into the gym every single day, but they still have to figure out what winning looks like to them. And that's going to be our challenge going into this year. Again, going back to last year, it was a wonderful season. Being able to send that group of seniors off with that couldn't be any better. You take the first 2 years where you're questioning everything. Like, did I make the right decision? Should I stay? Should I transfer? Why am I here? And that's not just the players, right? That's the coaches as well, because you're taking a lot of losses and you're just like, am I even doing anything right? And then you get into those next 2 and you're like, okay, year 3, you get it. But then year 4, you get it again. It's like, man, it was worth it because we got to experience it all. And we got to go out on the high note for that, for our senior class. And now this junior class has the ability to, now senior group has the ability to do what hasn't been done in our program yet. Be the first to go 3-peat, right? Each class is going to have the ability to do something new that's historic. Who's going to continue the tradition? What is that going to look like? Because this senior group will graduate and then my sophomore junior group will move up and they have the ability to be the first to go 4 straight, right? So being able to have that opportunity is always beautiful.
Right. Well, those are great goals, excuse me, to have. Definitely want to put those repeats back to back to back, because I mean you've established a culture, and now you have to maintain that culture, and because that's primarily what you build on. I mean, well, what you recruit on is part of all that. Hey, we've won this many championships, because I know even with myself, on the high school level, winning high school state championships. When I go to an athletic event, you always see me with at least one of the rings on.
Got to.
Yeah.
I didn't win it for no reason.
Right.
Got to shine.
Right. And only thing that I regret was that I was on the staff of a major collegiate program for indoor track and field. Our women's team won conference. I don't have anything to show for that. I could just say, I did X, Y, and Z, or I think I do have a copy of our digital, and they don't even have these anymore, I don't think. Our digital media guide that has me in the picture.
It has a picture of you in it. Like, I was there. I'm not lying. I promise. I promise I'm not lying. I was there.
Right. And so, but, once again, though, and this has been like, when I've pursued athletic administration jobs, that's one of the things that I've told my inner circle for the programs that I've applied to. Hey, I have a certain attitude. I come from certain cultures. And no, we didn't always win all the time. And yeah, my last head coaching job, we didn't score a point at state. But, I can say that all of my athletes ran their best times at regions or state, or they jumped the furthest or whatever they did around, they peaked at the right time. I can't say that. Just happened to be in one of those down years. But, expectations, I want, if I become an athletic administrator somewhere, I want to be surrounded by coaches who know how to win. I don't want people sitting around me that have been in the program 6, 7, 8 years and have nothing to show for it.
Right. Winning is a one-time occurrence. The process of winning is a lifetime experience. So it's not necessarily about the wins. It's about the process of how you constantly get there. What are the things it takes? What are the sacrifices you must make for it to happen, right? And how can you get that vision off to your group? And for us, even right now, it's all about culture. Because, again, we have 10, 12 new guys. And so even though I'm in Anaheim and school has started and guys are going right now, all the returners are like, yeah, this is the standard. This is what they expected. Rules are one thing, but standards are higher than rules. This is how we operate, right? It's not about just being the standard for volleyball and on the court. It's about being the standard for the campus. Be the standard for the athletic department, right? Be the one that everybody is chasing, but you either live up to the standard or you die trying. There is no not.
Right. And, and I actually had a talk with one of the guests not too long ago. And one of the things I told him, actually, that program, my last head coaching job, the previous year I was the mentor coach. I was the only coach on the staff that had experience as an assistant. And and actually the head coaches were the ones who asked me to come on to help them out because they had no experience. The the primary head coach over the program, she only had 2 years of experience, and she convinced one of her friends to take over. She was over the women. She convinced her friend to take the men. And so they really didn't have that much experience. It came to me, hey, we heard that you coach track and field. Yeah. It's like, hey, we can use your help. And, we came out, the boys ended up winning state that year. But like I said, we lost a lot of talent. The coaches, they moved on. And, like I said, we were just in a rebuilding year. But what really kind of made me angry that year, in the hallway of the school, there was this banner. And the banner said, there's no such thing as winners or losers. And I kept looking at that banner. I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder all the sports teams at this school are losing.
There's definitely a such thing as a winner and a loser.
Yeah. When you're at a school and weightlifting is your top sport, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
But that was the attitude at the school, and I had to explain to my athletes what the difference was. If you, I cannot call you a loser if you gave everything you had and, you didn't get first place. Somebody better than you beat you.
Correct.
That's all that was.
Correct. Somebody else skilled you in whatever it was, but you were not just ran over. Right.
And then, and my definition of a loser, and I use this analogy with every team I coach. If you are the fastest person on the track, and I'm looking at you and you only gave 50%, and you beat everybody by 20 meters in a 100-meter dash, you're a loser to me.
Because you didn't put it up.
Yes.
You were satisfied with coasting instead of
Yes.
challenging yourself to be the best you can.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And that's why I used to like those old the old Alabama teams and old Ohio State teams and some of the old Oklahoma and Nebraska team, when they used to beat people by like 30 and 40 points.
72-7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Because I remember back in the day, some coaches would complain, "Oh, they didn't need to beat them that bad." Well, yeah, they kind of did, because the posters.
That's a sign in our gym. That's a sign of respect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking off just because you're not good. That's not a problem. What we say in our gym is, you're on the court with me, I'm not on the court with you.
Right.
You know what you were getting involved with when you came here. Keep up or get ran over. We ain't stopping.
Right.
And if we're the ones who get ran over and what we were doing wasn't working, great. We got something to work on, but we ain't coming in slow and steady. We coming to punch you in the mouth.
Right. Because you as a coach, you might have put in your second or third team.
Mm-hmm. I have.
How are you going to ask? How are you going to ask them to put the foot on the brake?
Everyone is expected to be at the same standard. You get in the game, this is your opportunity to show me why you shouldn't be where you are. Prove it.
Exactly.
And that's big in our gym, is a simple saying of prove it. You don't like something, prove it why.
Right.
Don't complain about it, because complaining ain't going to do nothing.
Right.
Do something.
Right. And like I said, to me, that's the difference between winners and losers. And actually, one of the guys who's considered to be the greatest high jumper ever in American history, he never won an Olympic gold. Dwight Stone. And I actually met Dwight Stone at a coach's clinic, and he had me to record his keynote speech. And his keynote speech was about the concept of winning. Because he said at one point, you know, people kept calling him a loser because he wasn't winning the gold. But then he said he had to look at the total picture. It's like, hold up, I'm on the podium. I'm top 3.
I'm here. You're not.
Right.
You're the loser, bro. You didn't even make it.
Right. And so, like I said, those are the type of attitudes that I look at and look for in my own athletes, as well as other people who I'm dealing with. And if they can't, like I said, if my athletes are not giving me 100%, that was one reason why we didn't score any points at state. I had to let my best 2 athletes go on the girls' side and on the boys' side. I had to let them go. And my boy, he was like number 2 in the state in hurdles at the time. But it's like, like I told him, I was like, I'm up here, we're at this meet. You're supposed to run the 400 hurdles. You're not at the starting line. I turn around, you sit up in the stands with your mom and girlfriend. And you're the leader of our team. Same thing with the girl. She got hurt.
Coming soon.
Yeah.
Hard life lesson coming soon.
Yeah. Same thing with the girl. I told her actually the year before, she barely ran enough races to qualify to go to regions. And because she was always complaining that she was hurt. And so coach didn't run her. And then she just, like I said, she just got enough to go to regions, went to regions, ended up getting an at-large bid to state. Went to state in the 100, and I did not like the way they did it back then. I preferred the old way where they would mix people in together in different heats. They just did, we were on a 9-lane track at University of Kentucky. First, the top 9 times in each heat as you go. So she was in heat 2. She got 6th place overall in the 100. And like I told her mom and her, I was like, all this stuff about you hurt and all this, that, and the other, I'm not gonna play that. Either you out there doing it or you're not. And she played. I guess she tested me. And that one time, she had to go to the hospital. Say, hey, I need a doctor's release. And she didn't want to get the doctor's release. Oh, I can run. No, you can't run for me because I don't run. I don't have.
You're not putting me in that situation.
Right. Because I know what I know what hurt me as an athlete when I was younger. It was my fault. It wasn't the coach's fault. It was my fault because I was trying to compete hurt. And I'm still paying for it now.
Aren't all of us right now?
And so, like I said, it just certain attitudes and sounds like, you got that attitude installed or instilled in your program, and I love hearing that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just who I am as a person, as a competitor. I'm a pretty quiet guy for the most part, but when it's time about business and you're not executing, I'll talk. You'll hear me and you'll want me to shut up. But yeah, I'm in a beautiful spot where I can take a group of young men who look like me and do some historic things on a consistent basis, and sell the vision and the mission of what we're up to and what we're trying to do. So, it's an honor to be able to have the reins and have so much impression on the next generation in this sport itself, and what we're building. And I think the culture of what we've been able to do is something that, is in any championship gym.
So tell us about some of those top guys that's in the program or that delivered for you this past year.
Yeah, the first one that comes to mind is Isaiah Fed. The kid is an absolute physical specimen. He is a guy that I would not be surprised would be in this gym that I'm in by this time next year. After our season, I wholeheartedly expect him to be in the USA gym, training and getting an actual look. I mean, he was a player of the year this year. The previous year, he led Division I in aces per set. This year, I believe he was in the top 15 in the nation in kills per set. A kid that's in a small D2 program, let alone an HBCU, competing against Division I PWIs on a day-to-day basis with the resources they have. We don't have all the bells and whistles, but what we can make champions with, and that's what we're doing. And he is not a kid who will make excuses. The next kid that is going to be huge for our program is his name is Constantine Onye, but he goes by Dozy. He's one of our liberos. He was a freshman last year. He was a very steady guy for us, and he was just a true freshman. And I'm excited to watch what he does this year. He's a captain for us now, and this whole summer he has taken that to heart. He was out and about all summer, working camps at the University of Texas, at TCU. Where else did he go? USC. He was out here at the University of Southern California. He did so well that they asked him back again to run camp. So he's taking it serious. He's a volley nerd. He's exactly what we need in our program to grow this sport. So Dozy will be another great kid who has helped us develop to where we are. We have some new young blood that's coming in that I'm excited to see what they could do, but we definitely have the 12 guys we have coming in. There are going to be some guys that will be on the court as true freshmen this year. It could be anywhere from 1 to 3 or 5, right? Who knows? But I'm definitely excited to see what this group will bring to us and continue to uplift the mission of what we're chasing and what we're trying to do.
Right. And like you said, you just completed year 4 last year. And I guess for people who did not know, USA Volleyball or USA Men's Volleyball seeded several small HBCU teams, primarily from the SIAC and also from the CIAA, to start men's volleyball programs.
Yeah.
And this happened during COVID.
Yeah, it was First Point Volleyball Foundation and USA Volleyball partnered together and donated, I believe, around $1.2 million or something like that to the SIAC schools, the 6 schools, and then another school picked up, and when Lemoyne picked up last year, they helped fund that as well. And then they just recently, when they did Lemoyne, they also added Maryland Eastern Shore, which will be the first Division I HBCU, which will be awesome. Hopefully there's many more to come on their Division I level, which would be beautiful, because that's a whole new landscape of athletes to be able to get in quality. But they're doing an awesome job trying to truly grow the sport from the grassroots up. Not just collegiately, but also in the high school realm. They are working currently on North Carolina and Texas sanctioning high school boys volleyball. So they are heavily in trying to grow this sport in every aspect possible, which I'm always for.
Yeah, because I remember a couple years ago, Talladega actually has started men's volleyball. Unfortunately, with their financial situations at that school, they had to cut several of the programs that were new, including their women's gymnastics team, which, I mean, that team had produced it had actually produced individual individual national champion and then several All-Americans. So, and then I don't think that the men's volleyball program really got going down there before it got cut, which that really broke my heart. I knew the AD who started all that, which was a feather in his cap because he started 4 programs that year.
Mm-hmm.
And but you know, to have the men's volleyball at an HBCU on the NAIA level was huge.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, Talladega was supposed to join the SIAC, and they just fell short from meeting their sponsorship to move up to Division II, or they would have been with us. But yeah, seeing that program, you never want to see any school or program close or end, right? Because Morehouse has ended their men's volleyball program also. So you have things like that happening where programs are being ended and cut it, where we're losing opportunities for our kids. And that's what it's supposed to be about at the end of the day. Giving our young men and women the opportunity to continue doing something they love, 1, but 2, doing it and getting an education at the same time and using it as a vehicle to continue to grow as a person. So when you take those opportunities away from schools that they would really love to be at, you know, it kind of makes it hard. And that's why, for me, it's still so hard that the state of Georgia has not sanctioned boys volleyball. It does not make sense to me when you have 6 collegiate teams in your state. And every state wants to keep state money in the state. Well, you're not given this opportunity to truly be able to stay in here, because you're making kids. In order for me to figure out if I like volleyball, I have to go pay $10,000 to go play club. High school is supposed to be where I experience it for free and do it for fun and get better and see if it's something I even want to continue down that path. And then club is supposed to be, I want to be great at this. Let me get the extra work in, not the other way around, right? And in our demographic, not many of us at the current moment have that ability to just drop $10,000 and then still pay for your travel and your meals and your lodging if you're at a hotel. Like, it's not that easy to do. You know, volleyball is still, in my eyes, a country club sport. You have to have means to make it in it. There is no just, oh, I can pick it up and do it. Not really. I mean, you can possibly get a sponsorship, but you got to be already kind of good, right? And if you're just starting out, that's not going to be you.
And I said it's disheartening to me when I see programs having to let, you know, a signature program go. You know, I did not know about the Morehouse situation, but I like I said, I did know about women's gymnastics and what happened there, because, you know, Talladega was the second gymnastics program. FIS was the first.
And both of them.
Yeah, and then Talladega was the first one to let it go. They only got to compete 1 year. Fortunately, Wilberforce ended up creating a third program. So a lot of the girls from Talladega ended up going to Wilberforce. I think FIS might have picked up 1 or 2. But then I think it's either this year or next year. It's FIS last year.
I think this is FIS last year.
Yeah, so, you know, like I said, that's disheartening, because I would love to see more women's gymnastics in HBCUs, especially considering the African American women who had dominated in women's. You're seeing a whole lot more, actually. And I mean, you go back to Dominique Dawes, what she used to do was just phenomenal. I was a big Dominique Dawes fan.
Mm-hmm.
And then now, you're talking about Simone, and she's taking everything to another.
For that, you had Gabby.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just on the Team USA level.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even talking about collegiate. You look at the collegiate level, a lot of your top gymnasts are Black women.
There's one at UCLA. There's one at LSU that's killing it. I believe there was one at
Florida had
Auburn.
one 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, it's not one of those things where we can keep saying volleyball is a white person sport, gymnastics is a white person sport.
Those two are the most Black sports because you have to be the most dynamic to do them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. We are the most dynamic and athletic culture
mm-hmm.
and ethnicity. Volleyball is about who can be the most dynamic and athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Gymnastics, same exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
You go to any cookout, any family gathering, you have the kids who are just doing backflips for fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how small or how big they are, tall or round, they can all do a flip, and it's the craziest thing. And people don't realize how athletic you have to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. 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 And I said that's really crazy that we don't have more programs out there. I know one school, I'm not even going to mention their name, but I know one school that had gymnastics equipment in the school. And they should have been the first HBCU to have a gymnastics program. They have an Olympic swimming pool in the gym. I mean, and swimming, actually, that's another one. Swimming used to be big in HBCUs. Now we only have one swim program in HBCUs, and that's Howard. And Tuskegee, I know Tuskegee, they say used to be real dominant in swim. And I don't know if swimming died, but I know a lot of people told me about Tuskegee's teams back in the day. And they mentioned a lot of other ones. And like I said, why aren't we in these sports where there are people who are interested in probably interested in competing, and they can't go to Alabama, they can't go to Ohio State, they can't go to USC, so
a lot of that really for those sports, a lot of it comes down to financial resources. The drastic difference from a PWI to an HBCU is ridiculous. And that's why it's considered a white sport, right? Because to do gymnastics, that equipment alone is ridiculously expensive. Same thing. Volleyball isn't really that expensive. It's a net, a pole. It might cost you $10,000 to start it up. But when you get into gymnastics, just that equipment alone is going to be expensive to have. So they're going to charge crazy, or being able to get that or finding out how to get it is tough. But at the same time, again, you get those kids, you're getting kids who are used to paying money. This is what they're accustomed to.
Right.
Whether it's I have it or I don't, I'm accustomed to it.
Right.
So they're going to be able to help. There's your donors. They're your people who are going to help you thrive when you need it.
Well, I one thing that I wonder for a kid, because we talked about club, and I'm wondering how many HBCUs push club sports, because that's another avenue.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I've wanted to start club here at Fort Valley for volleyball, because we have kids who want to be interested now, and I hate turning them away, but you're not at our level. I don't want to be rude, but there is a standard and you're just too far. But I want you to play the game because obviously you enjoy it and you love it, and I want to grow it in this sport. So I'm with you. I wonder that as well.
Yeah. Because the thing about club, and I guess people don't realize, I know when I talk to people, they don't realize some of these things. On the club level, the student athlete, because they are still student athletes, the student athletes are responsible for everything. They're responsible for getting their coach and paying them if they have to. They're responsible for their travel. They're responsible for their
uniforms.
Meals.
Anything they get or do is on them.
Right. And to me, I wish I had known that when I was in school, because that's a terrific avenue to get into sports administration and coaching, because you've actually had to do all of this stuff.
Very true.
And so, once again, I think that, and at some point I'm looking to pick up my my doctoral studies again. And that might be something that I explore, is how club sports can translate into increased enrollment at HBCUs. Because, we talk about these sports in HBCUs are some of the most diverse institutions in America. You have people of all races attending HBCUs. And so it's not, even though we're called historically Black, we have people of all races at our schools. We don't turn anybody down. DEI and all this other stuff are not problems for us.
Yeah, when you're the minority majority of the time, you know what it feels like,
Yeah.
Like I have 2 Caucasian guys on our team now. Like they're going to be the minority. And these are conversations we had before they came here, and I wanted to make sure they understood that, and they were all about it. It's about the differences that make us better. The differences are what make us grow as people, and I want as much difference as I can in this program.
And I said, I think that diversity really helps us, because I know even in your conference, there's a PWI in your conference, and that PWI has done very well in several sports. I was amazed at how many championships they won this year, and which just kind of tell the other members of the hey, y'all got to step your game up.
Correct. And a lot of it is sports that PWIs would dominate in. Right? The sport that are usually deemed their kind of sport is where they dominate, because their kids are starting a lot sooner in those sports. They're starting in those sports at the age of 6, and from there on, they're at it. So just before our kids even get involved, they've already had a lifetime in it. And most of the time, our kids in those type of sports aren't playing until sophomore, junior year of high school. Is when they finally find it. Well, you're definitely behind the curve at this time.
And so, that it is crazy. It is crazy that and this program wasn't that. There were a couple of sports I think they dominated when they came in. They've been in the conference for a while now. But I actually, when I was an assistant commissioner for another conference, they were one of our schools.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so they did very well. I think it might have been for like a sport or two or something. I forgot what the dynamics was. But that particular program, I know women's volleyball was the one sport they came in and dominated in immediately, and because Kentucky State had been dominating before that, and then they became rivals with each other and whatnot. But like I said, now the rest of the conference, I'm assuming, will have to look at this school and be like, hey, we got to step our game up. You know,
it changes the standard. Right. makes you have to compete in those spots if you're really trying to chase something big. And I know our AD, Miss Johnson, wants to get a commissioner's cup, right? Be the first in Fort Valley history to be able to obtain that goal, and it takes all sports. It doesn't just take football. It's not just basketball. You need to be in the top 3 in every sport, and some of them you have to be the top 2 for it to really give you any points.
Now we do have a guest, and that guest asked an important question. I usually don't do this, but then again, I don't have too many guests either. So except on Instagram, that's where most of our guests are. But the guest did ask something about sponsorships. How does sponsorships work there at Fort Valley? Are you responsible for going out getting sponsors, or is it someone else? How does that work?
It's both. We have someone who is responsible for creating sponsorships and doing that aspect. But for me, I'm always going to be an advocate for my program. I'm always going to go out and look for some sponsors because what we're doing is so different than everyone else that we need those sponsors. Our program, men's volleyball isn't big or prevalent in the Southeast, right? So for us to compete outside a conference, there's only one school in a 4-hour radius, and that's a school in Georgia, but everyone else is 6+ hours away from us. So in order for us to continue to be the standard for what HBCU men's volleyball looks like, I have to get out and find some sponsors. I got to talk to people and get some donors and get some people who see the vision of what we're trying to build and what we're trying to do here in our men's volleyball program and what that actually entails. I can speak it, but I love when people are able to come around our guys and see it in person. Everyone on campus wants a men's volleyball player involved somewhere in it because they know they're going to be accountable. They know they're going to raise the standard of what productivity or what they turn in as a result. We're very prideful in what we do and how we carry ourselves, and we enjoy being the standard. I'd rather be the standard than chase someone else's standard. So our guys are constantly doing that on a day-to-day basis, and everything. I hate asking for money for myself, but I had a friend tell me, you're not asking for you, you're asking for your players. And once I looked at it in that aspect, it was super easy for me to get out and try to find those sponsors. So if anyone's trying to sponsor men's volleyball or has any questions or anything it may be when it comes to Fort Valley men's volleyball, they can always email me. It's lawrence.rather@fvsu.edu. It can also be found on our website, on our roster. If you go to my name, and it'll have my email right there for you. Just shoot me an email and we can set up a time to talk and we can figure some things out. But yeah, sponsorship is heavy. It's done both ways by us as coaches and by someone in our department as well.
Okay. All right. Well, tell us a bit about Fort Valley. What's it like there on campus, and what are some of your major programs?
Academically, major programs?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Academically, major programs are going to be in our agriculture or our veterinary science departments. Those are our two biggest, but honestly, from what I've been told, every field, and having gone to a big PWI, classes are what you make of them. How difficult you want it to be is on you, not the professor. The professor is just the facilitator. You're the one controlling your knowledge and what you take from it. So, I think it doesn't matter where you go, it's about you. Are you going to take it fully, or are you going to make somebody hold your hand for your knowledge to be grown, or can you grow on your own? Can you really seek that knowledge out there, or does someone have to just like talk to you and tell you about the knowledge that you're going to regurgitate, so you're not really getting knowledge? But veterinary science, vet tech, and agriculture is our main. And agriculture, I was a city boy. A suburb boy, not really a city boy, coming from Chicago. So when we hear agriculture, right, you think farm animals, you think farming, everything in that aspect, but it's so much more than that. You have agricultural business, which you have people who work for Coca-Cola and Nesquik and industries like that, and that is the same field. Or dietary supplements and things in that aspect, or agricultural engineering, all that is still within the same thing. Agricultural finance is just a little bit more of a focus in that aspect of life, but it's all the same kind of degree fields, which is awesome. I love that part about it. And then telling you about our area, we're in a rural area. We're an agricultural school, so that tells you we have land around us with farm animals and cows. I actually kind of like it because it's peaceful. When I recruit kids, you're coming here for a reason. You're not coming here for distractions.
Right.
So if you're looking for all the glitz and glamour to be here, you're not serious about this, right? You got classes, you got this sport, you got rest. That's all you need. And you eat in the middle. That's all you sprinkle in eating. That's it, right? If you're trying to add any more than that, you're not serious about your sport. You're not serious about your education, and you're looking more for a good time, and that doesn't fit us. So we're in a rural area, about 20 minutes away. In either direction, you have Perry or Warner Robins, which are a little suburb, which is what I call them, where you're going to get more of your populated of like your restaurants and your mall and things like that is going to be in that area. And where you'll go for entertainment will be there. But immediately by the campus, it's the campus. Facilities within the campus, I love. Having been at a Division I university where I played, I feel Fort Valley is a mid-major D1 in size and facilities of what we have. So, it's a beautiful campus. Since being here from 2020, Fort Valley has always been a hidden gem. Those who come on campus are like, oh my God. Like even recruits I bring on campus. And I'm like, so did I do it justice or not? Did I lie to you? They're like, no, coach, you didn't lie. Like, I just didn't believe it. Like you have a preconceived notion of what it's going to look like in your mind. And then you get there and you're like, wow. Like one of our freshmen this year told me, he's like, yeah, because one of his high school teammates came on a visit who's also and he's been telling him about it. And he's like, everything Logan has told me and everything I've seen pictures of don't live up to what I'm seeing in person. And I'm like, you're right. That's just the thing. We have to get people on our campus in order to do that. And so it's a beautiful area, the spring and in the fall is my favorite time on campus. The fall, because it's not so freaking humid and you can actually enjoy being outside for a little bit. But you start to see a little bit of the leaves change and things like that. But the spring, when everything is blossoming, other than your car being covered in yellow from all the pollen in the spring. Thankfully, I don't have crazy allergies. But my two favorite seasons, the summer is great. It's very beautiful. It's just too hot to be outside. You really don't want to. The humidity is crazy. And winter isn't that cold. Coming from Chicago, winter is easy. I don't really need to worry about warming my car up before I get into it and gotta go. I'm not worried about shoveling snow, right? In the 5 years I've been at Fort Valley, this past January was the first time it snowed in Georgia. Which my 4-year-old son got to enjoy his snow for the first time, which was awesome. But I was not happy. I was like, I left the Midwest for this reason. Go away, please.
Right. Wow. And so, so Fort Valley is one of the 18. I guess that would be Georgia's 1890 land grant school.
Correct. We are the last state land grant school in the state of Georgia.
Okay. And it's wild that you mentioned that it's not just about farming, because I think almost every high school should have home ec or I forgot what they call it now, home
Shop,
technology or whatever
yeah.
they call it. They have that, and most of them have 4-H. Both of those are actually land grant programs that are ran by schools like Fort Valley State, and I guess University of Georgia would be the 1863 land grant. And so, those are things that are not necessarily farming that are dealing with agriculture. So agriculture is a big wide field for anyone who wants to get in it. And
there's a lot of scholarship money in it, and a lot of money in your paycheck after when you're done too. Like agriculture is the way to go if you're a kid trying to get into college and you need some help and you want to do business, do agricultural business, and if you have the grades, get the scholarship that comes along with it. It's well worth it. It's well worth it.
And so I know we got to start winding down here pretty soon. And, I always ask this question because it is very important to me. But how do you deal with the mental aspect for your athletes? Because unfortunately, we've had this phenomena, especially I think it even some of it started before COVID. We had this phenomena of students wanting to end their lives. And unfortunately, as far as what I've seen, the majority of them have been student athletes. So how do you deal with the mental aspect for your athletes?
Yeah. I was them no more than a decade ago, right? I was a college athlete. I know exactly what it's like, and that's why I chose to be a college coach over a high school or a club coach or club director. Because for me, I felt that the college kid is the one who's always forgotten. High school kids, elementary school kids, middle school kids, like they have their parents, they have their community around them, making sure they're good. But it's the college kid that more times than not, especially a college athlete, once you graduate, you lose a complete sense of identity. You no longer know who you are. Since the age of 12, I've woken up at 5 a.m. to go do this sport. And now I don't have to. Who am I? What do I like to do? Like most of the time, it's like I got this degree in this, but I just got the degree. I wasn't really focused on what that meant after, right? And so for me, that's something I already am on the lookout for. So, you have to be, as we say in our gym, you have to be like water. You have to be fluid. You can't be rigid. It's a different generation of athlete. The way they handle things are different than my generation was. And it's being open, checking in, building relationships, making sure they feel that they know you care. And it's not just I'm telling you it. Because even then, when they know you care, they still won't come tell you. You sometimes have to pry it out of them. But just allowing them a space to feel vulnerable and feel that they can let the guard down and talk. And it may not always be with us as coaches. I want to build what we call it at our gym. It's our tribe. It's not a family. It's our tribe. And our tribe is here for one another, no matter what. So whether it's grades, if you feel you're not good in a class, just say something in the group. Somebody's got you. We'll figure it out. You speak, we're there. And we're going to always leave opportunities for that. But on the other side of it too, last year actually was the first year that with some funds that we were able to raise, I was able to get raised for us. I was able to hire someone to be a kind of mental coach, a sports mental coach for our guys. So once we got in the season, we met with her at least once a month was the plan. Her name is Capri Richards, which is funny. She just texted me today because she wants to catch up and start talking about the plans for the new season coming up. But Capri's out of Texas. She works with programs like Baylor, their women's volleyball program. She played volleyball, so she understands it. And I met her when I went out to Texas, and I knew that was the next step for our program is not only do we need to train our guys physically and have them where they need to be, but mentally I need them to be able to perform under stress. And that's kind of the thing that annoys me a little bit with professors sometimes is they think they're giving special treatment to these athletes, but these athletes are working under more strenuous circumstances than a normal student.
Yeah.
Which to me is baffling, right? Like you have someone who is pretty much working full time and being a student, and you have someone who is just a student and you're more lenient to just the student who has more time on their hands. That doesn't truly make sense to me, but that's a part of the pressure that these athletes have to deal with. And then the stress of being away from home if you're far, right? Like this year we'll have a kid on our program from Switzerland, right? We have a kid from Colorado on our program this year. So first thing we know already is they might get homesick. So that's something we're looking out for. Like, how can we manage that for them? Can we cook a meal for them that's from back home to make it feel like it's home at least, right? Something that gives them a sense of like, dang, you really care, right? You kind of just try to prepare yourself for it, but at the end of the day, you can never be prepared. You just have to be prepared to be unprepared. Be prepared for whatever is coming at you at that time and deal with it as it comes to you, but at least have a plan for any circumstance. And having my father is definitely a big blessing and a helping part for me, because again, I'm gone for the first month. Our season starts and he's holding it down and I'm not even stressed. I'm like, I know he's got it and he's somebody I trust wholeheartedly to put our program in the right spot. So I can solely focus here and do what I need to do and know that back home things are taken care of. Our guys are being taken care of and things are going to be moving in unison as if I was there. So, it's just building the tribe to be a tribe and not be a family where people get complacent. The more I tell that to people, the more they're like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. I stopped calling our team a family. I think I told you this last year. I stopped calling our team a family after year 2. Families, you have people who get complacent. They feel entitled. They ride off the name. Oh, I don't have to do it. I'm a rather. I can, right? Like, but what did you really put in other than the name? So I stopped using the word family and use tribe, because in a tribe, every single one of us have to contribute for us to be a thriving and successful unit. And for us to be a powerful tribe, I don't care if you're the water boy, the manager, the starter, the bench, the head coach, the assistant coach, everybody has a standard to be the best at whatever your role is for our tribe. And your role could change every day. Your role could change monthly. It could change yearly. It can never change. But whatever the role is that you're given is expected of you to do it to the utmost and not just give half effort. It goes back to what I said earlier. Our standards are you either buy in or you die trying. And I will give you grace if you die trying, because that means you're trying. You're doing the best of your ability. You live up to it, wonderful. And if you're somebody who's not even trying, you won't be here long.
Right.
Because I'm not going to allow you to disrespect everyone else that is in this tribe doing it the right way. Right. So the mental health aspect is definitely the side that I'm heavy into with our guys. Before matches, before practice, we do visualization. So our guys will come to the court, shoes off. This is not a ask. This is a mandatory thing for our guys. Before we start anything on the court, they come to the court, shoes off, so they can be grounded. I want them to be present in the moment. They'll stand on the end of the court. They'll close their eyes, do a couple of controlled breaths, do a little breathing exercise, and do some visualization while they're there. And then from there, they get their shoes on, and that's starting their process of getting locked into what we're about to get into for the day. And that helps prepare them. This year, we'll also have some binders for our guys so we can do some journaling. Journaling is always a beautiful thing because if it's a negative in my mind, the more it hits each wall, the louder it gets, and the more I think I'm doing worse. But really, if I look at it when it first happened, it really wasn't that big of a deal. So being able to journal before practice, having a game plan for them as individuals, and then after, did I meet that standard? Did I not? Where did I fall short? Where can I be better? Every day it's about the process. It's not about the end result. And it's not about a destination. Each guy's process and journey is going to be different. And our job is just to help guide it as along as we go, not just as athletes, as young men, as students, as whole individuals. This is about mentoring, not just coaching.
Right. Well, if I ever get back into coaching, I'm gonna have to step my game up. You just hit me with a couple of techniques that I hadn't even thought of. So, I'm gonna have to update my skill set before I try to coach again.
Hey, I mean, everyone in our athletic department is now being called a tribe. We're getting away from the family aspect. It's what it makes sense. Our women's basketball coach is doing the same. Our football coach is doing the same. It just makes sense.
Well, as we prepare to wind down, this is actually the last question. We have one other segment after this. But who are your main mentors? I know your dad is one.
That's a funny question because I've had this conversation a lot with some of my peers. One, I'm terrible at having a mentor because I don't know how to be a mentee. But at the same time, there's no one doing what I'm doing, so it's hard to find a mentor. In men's volleyball, there's no one who has to deal with the things I deal with on a day-to-day basis in an HBCU world that I can truly look to and go to as a mentor. Yes, there are people that I can go to and ask for advice or ask their thoughts on 100%. But when I think of a mentor, I think of someone that kind of really understands where you're coming from with things for the most part, and have been in your shoes. So my father has been that to an extent, because he's done what I've done. He's done it at the high school level, and he's been doing it for a while. But at the magnitude of where I am, I am the trailblazer. What I'm doing is to be the mentor for someone else later on. So it's a lot of beating up of myself now, because it's hard to find someone that knows exactly what I'm dealing with. Right. And it's a lonely road for sure, but it's a burden I'm okay with carrying, because it's leaving a legacy for something that's going to last a lot longer, and it's not really about me. It's just about affecting the sport and getting more young men involved. That's what I care about at the end of the day when it comes to this. Leaving a legacy of, they may never know my name, but they know there was a turning point in men's volleyball that Black young men started getting involved more. And that's what it comes to at the end of the day. So I'll bear that burden. I'll carry that weight. And I'll be there to continue to be a support for those who reach out to me. I mean, I'm not a guy I'm not going to hold cards close to my chest. I'll tell you what I do. Doesn't mean you can do it.
Right.
You can't do it to the standard I do it. I can teach you. I can mentor you. I can give you whatever you want. I want competition because that makes me have to up my game, right? If it's too easy, I might start to get complacent, which won't happen. But, you start to feel that way. And, I want someone right on my tail. I want to be chasing somebody else. Right now, I'm chasing PWIs. I'm not chasing other HBCUs. I want to be in a race where I'm battling with somebody who is like me on a constant basis, to have that camaraderie of battle, right? It's weird, but it's a great quote at the same time where it's my enemy I'm so intent on my enemy and I study them so intently that it becomes intimate. Right? And that's what I want. I want a rival that is going to become so detailed that we are in an intimate relationship almost, to where we feel like we know each other to this crazy degree because we have done nothing but challenge each other. And that's where a lot of the great, like some of my best friends come from those situations as players, right? Like we competed against each other and it was, hey, let's go blow for blow and see who's still standing at the end of it. And at the end, it's like, I respect you, right? Like we challenge each other to be the best at the end of the day. But yeah, no real mentor other than my father and a couple of peers who I seek some knowledge. But peer-wise, doing what I do, there's really nobody I can truly ask in this sport.
Right. Okay. That makes sense because, I mean, at the end of the day, the real goal of collegiate athletics is to win national championships, not just conference or regional, but it's to win those national championships. And so, you know, you got to do whatever you got to do in order to get that knowledge and, you know, the tools that you need to get there. So I definitely understand that. So this is the last segment, and you did this last year.
Okay, here we go.
And so this is a segment where you can give shout outs to whoever you want to give shout outs to.
Okay. You know, first and foremost is my wife, Hannah, and my son, Phoenix. You know, I wouldn't be able to disappear for a month and be in Anaheim without her. I wouldn't be able to put as much detail into my program and my team if it wasn't for my wife taking a lot of the sacrifice. You know, in our gym, we talk about it. You know, when you're trying to do something great, you have internal sacrifices and you have external sacrifices. You know, and we always think about the internal sacrifice of what I personally have to give up, but we don't think about those who are immediately within our circle who have to make sacrifices as well. And they don't always ask or choose to make that sacrifice. They're voluntold, right? And so without my wife to do that, none of this is possible. Of course, give a shout out to my father, Ed Rather, probably the best assistant coach I've ever had, even though we butt heads on a consistent basis. You know, it's because we're too similar. At times, I am called Ed Rather 2.0. And I'm okay with that. At the end of the day, it's still a compliment. I'm just a quieter version of them. Our athletic director, Ms. Daphne Johnson, Bailey Clark, who helped set this up for us. She's been awesome since we got her on board. USA Volleyball, because without them, our team would not be here. You know, First Point Volleyball Foundation, yourself.
Thank you.
I'm very thankful for you because you use your platform to help raise all within the HBCU system. And I think that's wonderful. You know, there's not a ton of people doing that. And to give a platform for us to stand and yell at the top of our lungs as much as we can to those who will listen is beautiful. And it's appreciated from you to the utmost. And then to myself, you know, I got to give grace sometimes to me and thank me for doing some of the things I do. You know, there's not a lot of times. A friend of mine sent it to me the other day. You know, I'm the type of person when I achieve a big milestone, I kind of just roll over it and move on like it's expected. But sometimes you got to give yourself grace and you got to really look at those little wins that you're having that a lot of people wish they had. You know, I've gotten to the point where I'll say, I don't have any complaints, you know, like I have complaints that people wish they could complain about. Right. So what is there to complain about? The same thing about my victories and my wins. There are people who wish they had what I call minuscule or small. They wish they had those kind of victories. So why downplay them? So I got to just make sure I give myself that love as well of the work we've been putting in, the work I've been putting in the past 4 or 5 years to get this program where it needs to be, to get myself in the U.S. national team gym. You know, that doesn't come lightly or easy. That comes with a lot of respect on the work I have done and the product we've put together. So, you know, I can go on and on people to thank, right? There's a ton of people in my life that have helped, but the ones that I've mentioned are probably the main keys.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Coach. And we definitely appreciate that. We appreciate the shout out to us as well. And not only you, but we want to thank our audience, the people who came on and watch this and who just took time out of their day to listen to what Coach said, and, you know, to listen to him talk about his program, his magnificent program, and to listen to us talk about HBCU sports in general, and Fort Valley State University. We thank all of you who watch this and who are going to watch this. Thank you from the bottom of our heart. We ask that you please like, share, and follow us, so that you can also watch some of our other HBCU champions, because there are many people throughout our entire landscape who are doing great things, but they just don't get the exposure that their counterparts receive. And so it's very important for you to get to know some of them, because it's very important that our student athletes know that there's always a place for them. Even if they don't get a chance to go to some of the big or even mid-major PWIs, there are HBCUs and other small schools that might fit them a whole lot better. And so our HBCUs will always welcome you. And we just ask that you please keep following us so that we can keep doing what we're doing. And so with that, once again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Coach Rather, for your time. And also want to give a shout out myself to Bailey Clark as well, because she was the one who set this up. She's been great ever since I've met her. So thank you and have a blessed day.
Yeah. Now I'm talking about young shakes. Chicago to represent. Jesse James. And this for my city.
Hey, I do it for my city. Dog, I don't plan on going down. If he think I'm going down, then he gone first round. For my city. Dog, I ain't never been a chump. And if he thinking I'm a chump, watch him get his head lump. For my city. Dog, I don't plan on going down. If he think I'm going down, then he gone first round. For my city. Dog, I ain't never been a chump. And if he thinking I'm a chump, watch him get his head lump. For my city. Cause I feel like I love her so much, like I owe her so much for supplying her touch. I will always respect her, I will never neglect her. Bet you hear her naming like every one of my records. No, I'm not stunting, ain't no future in your frontin', right? Gotta get this money, watch me get it all night. Planet flying top flight, higher than space stations. That's why I gotta grind, cause I need it and I hate waiting.